And now, your official TigerBait postgame show with Mike Scarborough and Preston Guy starts now.
All right, everybody. A absolutely gross win for the LSU Tigers over Western Kentucky. I said it weeks ago. I didn't care to watch any more of this 25 LSU football team. I get it. It's senior night. Want to send those kids out. They put in the work. I get it. But look, that was just sorry effort. There's no way around that. Sorry preparation. Sorry effort. Look, you've got coaches on this staff that probably want to put their best foot forward and stake a claim that the next head football coach maybe ought to consider keeping them. I don't know if it does anything for them. If anybody's watching this team, I get that this is a good, bad team in Western Kentucky, a team with 8 wins in Conference USA, but just absolutely listless. I was in Tiger Stadium, no life. Listless, no passion, just no spark in that LSU football team. The sideline was just, they all would rather be somewhere else. They're probably all on the sideline discussing everything that all the fans were discussing in the stands and all week long. And Lane Kiffin this, Lane Kiffin that. I am reminded of, and Nick Saban brought it up on this morning's game day. I was down on the field at that Capital One Bowl when Saban called himself a lame duck, and his team played poorly, like he said today, lost that game to Iowa. I was down on the field because everybody was talking about the new head football coach, Les Miles. The news had broke before that game, but it's same principle. Just a really, really bad effort. Escape there. Harlan Berry. Been praising him all year long for ball security, and boy, that made it even hairier than it needed to be. All right, Preston, your thoughts?
Yeah, what an anemic performance, embarrassing. If you want the analytical takeaway from this game, I will say this. I think we need to shut the door. If there was any realistic should Frank Wilson get the job talk, I think just shut that door right now after seeing this tonight, because from top to bottom, this was a pitiful performance from this team. You know, he threw the ball 42 times, 202 yards on those, and 1 touchdown to show from that. It's just this is a tough team to watch this year. So I'll be interested. I'm sure more people are going to want to talk about the coaching staff and future of this team than talking about going to Oklahoma next week at this point.
I'm going to tell you right now, I can easily name you 3 or 4 high school offensive coordinators that can run offenses better than what we've seen. Shane Savoie at St. Thomas More would run circles around anybody involved there.
There's no doubt in my mind.
All right, let's dive right in, and y'all hit the like button if you're enjoying the show. We're going to go for a good solid hour or so. Brian Penton with a super chat right off the bat. This defense played their hearts out. When was the last time an LSU team didn't score more than 25 points in a season?
I believe it was 1978 was what I saw. 1970. So basically 50 years.
And what's funny is I think in 77 they had a couple of 70. They had a 68 point win and a 77-point win, and I was at both of them.
Yeah,
as a young kid, 10 years old.
It is embarrassing.
Keith Washington with a super chat. Not understanding how coaches get paid all this money and nobody can scheme an offense. Yeah, that's just what I was saying.
Well, Mike, doesn't it seem like a little bit of coaching malfeasance to not have a backup offensive mind on this team? Like, clearly Alex Atkins was the most experienced, but that was a guy who got fired from Florida State for a reason. So you get rid of Joe Sloan and you don't have anybody on this team with any sort of qualified play calling experience. I think that kind of just shows how.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really studied the analysts on the offensive side of the ball as far as who has those type of abilities, but you know, it's not like you're going to install a bunch of new stuff. It's impossible during a season.
Yeah, but I mean, you can do better than this. 13.
I mean, they obviously ran out a bunch of trick plays, but
yeah.
I'm just telling you right now, the next football coach is truly inheriting something similar to what Brian Kelly inherited.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. You should be, I think NIL has gotten to the point where it's more structured to where you shouldn't lose a ton. But I mean, Mike, this team is losing what, 15, 16 starters, something like that.
Yep.
You have no quarterback, no offensive line. There's not much coming back. In fact, I'm looking at this roster, Mike, and I'm just thinking, who on this roster do you genuinely want to retain? And at this point, I'd say Trades Green, Harlem Berry, and DJ Pickett. All the other guys are either out of eligibility or, I don't know that I care one way or the other if they head out. But you're going to need that $25 million to build this portal, even if it's Lane Kiffin or not. Speaking of money here, the Stadler says, man, guys, I think by halftime, LSU just upped another $10 million toward Lane Kiffin fund. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I was there. I left with about 3 or 4 minutes left in the first half, and I was home before probably with 5 or 6 minutes left in halftime.
Yeah.
And wanted to get this one going. We're waiting on Preston's wife, Alyssa, to give birth. It could start happening at any minute. So I wanted to get this going as soon as we could tonight.
So if y'all see me look over my shoulder and bolt out of here, you know what happened, okay?
Yes. All right. Yes, I did. Hey, Mike and Preston, did you hear all the Kiffin chants? I did.
Yeah. Shirtless Kiffin chants, too.
Mm-hmm. All right, I need to talk about our sponsor, Kenny Haines. He's been with us from the very, very beginning. Here we go.
Kenny Haines is a proud 1989 graduate of LSU Law School with a passion for justice. Kenny stands out as the only lawyer in the state, board certified in both appellate practice and family law. Drawing from 34 years of trial experience, Kenny has navigated the most complex aspects of real people's lives. If you need help in Northwest Louisiana with a family issue, legal issue, or a highly skilled trial attorney, call Kenny 318-222-2100.
There you go. And of course, Kenny is the unofficial attorney of TigerBait.com, and he reserves the right to think most clearly for a paying client. And also need to talk about Genesis of Lafayette. You see it on the screen right there. Your choice, the new 2025 Genesis GV80 or the 2025 Genesis GV80 Coupe. Look at those interest rates, 0.99 for 36 months, 1.99 APR for 60 months. 2.99 APR for 72 months. And again, it is your premier luxury dealership, Genesis of Lafayette, located at 6600 Johnson Street. And they're going to exceed your expectations. You can shop online with them at genesisoflafayette.com or give them a call at 877-856-2961. Please tell them that TigerBait sent you in. There is a reason why they sell more Genesis vehicles than any other Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana, and I don't care where you're at in the state of Louisiana. If you're interested in a Genesis product, let them get a chance to earn your business. I'm telling you, they will save you thousands, and they'll deliver that car right to your driveway and pick up your trade-in. Capital City Grill, head there for brunch tomorrow morning. I think we're probably heading there ourselves, and I'm ready for some chicken and waffles. You see it on the screen right there. Just a fantastic brunch menu. The brunch starts at 11, ends at 2 p.m. They serve traditional lunch all the way to 3. If you don't want the breakfast brunch fare, they've got great burgers and club sandwiches. The French dip sandwiches to die for. And please tell them TigerBait sent you in over at Capital City Grill. All right.
I got a comment pop up real quick.
Go ahead.
Cody Peck. Anybody else see Kelly's son running his little mouth session? Glad he's gone too. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. First off, I don't know that I necessarily mind BK being written under your shirt, supporting your dad or whatever, but Kenzel Kelly, yapping your mouth on Twitter, talking trash to people, leaking weird DMs to influencers, and then looking directly in the camera and running your mouth about it, that's too much. Keep your mouth shut, man. I mean, we understand your dad got fired and you're not supposed to throw your dad under the bus, and you still need to love and support him, no doubt. Dude, shut up. Your family's walking away with $54 million.
Yeah, I'm not really.
Walk
I'm
away
not
with some
really.
dignity, kid.
I'm not really impressed with the cut of his jib. I can just tell you that.
Yeah, and let's not act like you're on the team for any other reason other than your last name. I mean, come on.
Hey, Mike, Gordy Rush's daughter won the LHS. All right, man. That's great, man. That's good. Fire.
Good for her, man.
Yep. Hey to all the clowns that said Garrett Nussmeier was the offensive main problem. Our team sucks, says Booster69. Yeah, I don't really care to see this one, Debo the God. Next week, Oklahoma's about to put 40 on us. I think it could be absolutely disgusting.
Look, I'm very happy they got the win.
The positive about that, though, is when that game happens, you're likely to know something that's going to totally gloss over that, and you're not even going to care. You won't even need a close. You're not even going to need a clothespin for your nose. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Can you imagine the pandemonium? So, and look, this is not us speculating. This is Ole Miss AD Keith Carter's come out and saying that Lane Kiffin will make a decision on the Saturday following the Egg Bowl. Keep in mind, the Egg Bowl is a Friday. They're going to make him decide the next day. When the hell is he dropping this decision? Is he going to drop it in the middle of a game? Middle of an LSU game? It's going to be wild.
He also has let everybody but Blake and Corey go from this staff. Going to be very interesting. You know what I find funny? I mean, look, I talk to all our fellow LSU media folks. We're friends with just about all of them, and sitting around and eating the red beans and rice pregame meal up in the press box. And what I find funny is that the older Gen X's, boomers, all are probably have high confidence in a high percentage of probability that Lane Kiffin is the next football coach. It's the 20-somethings, the Gen Z media guys that are the most skeptical. You would think that would be flipped.
Yeah,
and
usually is.
Yeah.
I gave you my theory for that. I think there's a reason why the guys who are more seasoned, been around it a little longer, are more optimistic.
Well, based on everything that you and I know and our reporting all week long, I'm highly confident. So when we start talking about the future and stuff like staff and I don't know, we're going to see how this plays out. You would assume if it's Lane Kiffin, you're going to have a whole lot of his staff that come with him.
I'll say this about Blake Baker. Okay. So if LSU indeed does hire Lane Kiffin, as seems not unlikely at all at this point, but I'm not going to say it's a guaranteed thing. Then you would assume John Sumrall would be in great position to get that Ole Miss head coaching job. He knows people around there. He's formerly coached there. He'd be a great hire for Ole Miss. Then you have to start speculating, well, wouldn't Blake Baker be on the short list for the Tulane job? That might make retaining him a little more difficult than you might think. So then you have to start considering that as an option. The Thrill 12 with a super chat. If you have a chat, put it in the comments. I don't see it anywhere around this one, but I'll certainly keep an eye out for that. Cole Adams with a comment here. Stop the effing Trades Greens. Have you watched? Yeah, I've watched him drop a lot of footballs, man. I mean,
that last one, Preston, he was catching it with his body. Into those long arms, it's a reception.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
He's waiting for the ball to get to his body.
But Mike, I just think he oozes the talent still. He still has a lot of talent. I think that you can coach him into something special. I do. I think you should try to keep him, but I'm not saying he's had an incredible season by any stretch of the imagination. Certainly he needs to work on his jump balls, pinpointing the ball, needs to work on not dropping easy stuff. And yeah, he's had a rough month, man. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the potential speed, size, ability to jump is definitely there. And I also wonder about what a better offensive mind can do to scheme him in better positions. Maybe you don't need him doing a jump ball with contested receivers in the corner of the end zone every time. Maybe there's other ways to scheme him open. I just, I don't know. I don't want to misconstrue my comment about him as he's the end all be all player,
Luca Kari, for the super chat, offensive line is embarrassing. My God, first game in person, real barn burner. Hope Kiffin can put energy back in the team. I think he can absolutely do that. And there's a good one.
We're not reading his name. We're not reading his name, Mike.
All right. Good luck with your baby, Preston.
Also,
while we were here.
I believe he's referring to some of the jokes I've been cracking on Twitter. Everybody has been.
The sophomore in me loves that username. TG0186, and thank you for that super chat. Appreciate the show. Thank you guys. Thank you for that very generous super chat, TG. Absolutely.
Love to see it.
Mike denied Nuss's injury. Okay.
I'm leaving you on your own anymore. Guys, I'll say this. I thought Nussmeier was hurt. Maybe not injured, but hurt. Basically all season long.
That's the quote.
Mike disagrees with me, and I have had good information telling me he was hurt all season long and going back and forth.
He was hurt but not injured.
Hurt but not injured. That is what I'll say, and I still believe that to be true. But, it is what it is. I'm not saying what Mike has been saying about Nussmeier necessarily isn't true either. It's one of those things where two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
Dane Bergeron with the $5 super chat. This is the worst offensively coached LSU team since Jamie Howard picked sixth Auburn to victory over LSU. Let's see. That would have been 1997. And I believe he threw, was it 7 interceptions against Auburn? That was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, I had a lot of people telling me maybe that 97.
Hey, take it someplace else, pal. I know what I know, and there's stuff I'm not going to say on this show. Okay? Ooh. You're about to head to a blacklist. I'm not putting up with that shit tonight.
Ooh, boy, get him, Mike. Hey, look, man, I'll say this. We both have come across a lot of good information, and it's like sometimes the better your information is, the more people don't like to hear it, the more people like to throw insults in your face. It's been a fun couple weeks for us, guys. So if we're a little testy, there you go. But a lot of people were telling me when I said this might be the worst offense I can remember for LSU, a lot of people were throwing out those late 90s offenses with Jerry DiNardo. I don't know, man. I mean, this team hasn't scored. They just scored 13 points against Western Kentucky. Arkansas rolled out.
MVP actually sucks. Huff Knight. I never said that he was the end all be all.
In fact, we bashed him a bunch, Mike. In fact, I remember telling people on this show.
I mean, I'm a guy telling you for 8-9 months that the starting quarterback for the 26th season is not on the roster.
Yeah. We've also been telling you that, hey, if Nuss gets hurt, this is going to be all your goals this season are gone because the backups aren't ready. And look, MVP, I mean, he's shown some things, but in fact, tell me if you've heard this exact phrase from me before. Ducks and dimes. Wasn't that what we saw tonight? A few just beautiful throws, and what the hell was that? Like the interception he threw, his receiver's 10 yards behind where the ball ended up. 10 yards. You missed him by 10 yards. Yeah, I mean, Michael Van Buren certainly needs to work on some things, and certainly they need to use that portal money they're promising the coach to go get you a portal quarterback next year, or it's going to be a long season. Might be a long season regardless.
All right, let's see what we got here. Drew Boogie, we couldn't have had this offense with Jaden Daniels 5. I like that MVB can run too, Jim Milano. But he's not he's a decent runner, but he's not a game breaker.
He's no Jaden Daniels.
No, I mean, but Jaden Daniels is just insane.
He adds an element with his legs, but I mean, at the end of the day, man, you got to be consistent throwing the ball, and you cannot have. I mean, you realize we're talking about 42 passes for 202 yards tonight. I mean, it just wasn't. Wasn't great. How likely is Blake going to be the coach? I think we're. I
don't think that's a lock for by any stretch. I talked to someone in New Orleans, and the New Orleans media and says that that's not typically what Tulane has done. That they don't go for coordinators. They want proven head coaches.
Yeah, it's a couple steps away. Because first off, we don't even know for sure, if Sumrall is leaving. It does seem very likely that Sumrall is leaving, but that step hasn't even occurred yet.
Yeah.
Gene Smith with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you for that. I don't have a comment that I can see with that, but I will go looking for it. Let's see here. Stacy McCoy, he thinks Blake Baker should be the LSU head coach. I'm gonna take this as an opportunity to not necessarily talk about Blake Baker specifically, but the build of Blake Baker. And I've said this a bunch. If Lane Kiffin does not accept the LSU offer, I'm perfectly fine if LSU goes and finds an up-and-coming coordinator. Go look at the top coaches in college football right now. Mike, would you say it's fair to say your three best coaches in college football may very well be Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning, Ryan Day? Is that fair? At least close, if not top three. All three of those guys were college football elite college coordinators who got promoted to an elite job. None of them had head coaching experience, so I don't mind at all. And by the way, there's more, by the way. It's not just that, like Marcus Freeman. There's a long list of guys who got promoted from coordinators straight to an elite job and did well with it. So I wouldn't mind if LSU did find the next up-and-coming good coordinator and gave him a chance.
Count the money with a super chat. Chad upset that this ass team that fired his coach is still ass after firing the coach. Why are y'all so surprised that this team sucks? Yeah, I think maybe people thought that you might see a little magic of the way Ed Orgeron interim coach teams were at LSU and USC before that.
Yep.
No such thing.
It's
and a lot of it's
atypical.
personnel injuries. There's a little bit of all that in there as well. Let's see. There you go. Thanks.
Congrats to the Guy family. 1 to 10, Kiffin coming to LSU. I'm going to answer it like this. It would be very high if it wasn't Lane Kiffin we were talking about. And in the pure chaos, I'd be very high. But because it's Lane Kiffin, I'm always going to cut back my confidence a good bit because he's spastic. He is chaos. Mike, how you want to tackle
I feel the same. And a lot of people who are confident are saying the same thing. There's a lot of scuttlebutt out there that he hasn't signed anything, which would, of course, look, I don't know what Keith Carter at Ole Miss is looking at or looking for. If they thought that something was signed, that they probably would have cut him loose. I just think that there's too much stuff that we've gathered. Now, look, can he change his mind? Sure. And there is an element of, I want to see him stand at that podium and be introduced. And
Mike,
then so you can decide whether that fills in the last 20% of your 80-20 or your 75-25 or wherever you're at.
Yeah.
I just don't think that there's. I need to see other people asking: is Dillingham still the backup or the number 2? The problem is, I mean, we can sit here and speculate who would make sense for your number 2 and your number 3 choice, your A, B, and C. It's been all Kiffin all the time,
For
and
sure.
That's his name has sucked all the oxygen out of the room. And look, the Ole Miss media believes he's gone. I don't know what more to say about it, but I will say this: what was funny to me or interesting to me, and I haven't talked to any of them today, but as late as last night, with everything that was coming down and Ross Dellinger's tweet and with the numbers and what the Ole Miss premium sites and their media were saying on top of National and us, there's a huge number of Florida media guys who still believe that he's going to end up at Florida.
You know, and that certainly has been consistent throughout this process. I will add in, though, Florida is actually making moves as if to consider other backup options, like scheduling the Sumrall interview. They're certainly looking into other moves. LSU is not making any such moves right now. I don't think there's been very much thought at all other than just evaluating. I don't think they've done much of anything on that. Mike, let me ask you this before I get to this super chat I just have pulled up here. If you were going to go for a backup option, say Kiffin strikes out, who would Mike Scarborough look to hire as this coach?
My second choice would be Dillingham, and
I like Dilly. Yeah.
And I would probably shock some and say my third choice would be Sumrall.
Interesting.
I would take Sumrall over Braum.
Yeah.
I would take Sumrall over Heupel. I know that'll probably might shock some people, but I'd go Dillingham and Sumrall.
By the way, not a good showing for coaches on the backup list for LSU today. Basically, all of them except for Sumrall looked pretty bad. I mean, Braum got blown out today. It just not a good look. But I know my take's going to be unpopular. I know a lot of you are not going to like what I would go, but I'm just going to say it. I think you should go for someone like Glenn Schumann, Kelvin Shepard, Will Stein, just guys in that mold of the bright up-and-coming coordinator. Sometimes there's more to be said for the guy who is unproven versus the guy who's proven he can't win at the level you need to. I'm just going to put it like that and leave it there. And if you guys disagree, I fully respect it. It's also not proven to hit a 100% hit rate. Not everybody's Ryan Day. Not everybody is Marcus Freeman.
Chance, Mike, I thought you wanted a drink. Look, I've talked well about drink for several months with all the scenarios.
Yeah.
Even we thought it was a very, very long shot that BK would get fired. But it was mainly he's a guy you would want on your list and a guy that you would consider and talk to. But when everything goes down with Scott Woodward, and I know that Verge Osbury is the guy, I just do not see, knowing what I know about Verge, there would have been no way that Drinkwitz would have been a Verge guy. I just don't believe it. And not only that, then hold on, just real quick. Then what I'm hearing is that he's talked to Florida and others, and his interviews have been terrible. I'm hearing through the grapevine his interviews have been terrible. You know who was the worst interview by an LSU AD in all my years? Bobby Petrino was the worst interview that an AD said he ever had.
Interesting.
Like, I'm hearing Drinkwitz is having similar interviews.
I have two thoughts on Eli Drinkwitz. Number one, Mike, what would you say? Wouldn't you argue that the hype behind Kiffin is a big reason for wanting to hire him? You want to talk about generating NIL buzz and excitement? Kiffin will get the phones ringing off the hook. All right, so there's two reasons about Eli Drinkwitz. Number one, he is the opposite of Lane Kiffin in terms of fan excitement. I've read the message boards. I've seen your tweets. We're talking about a borderline Greg Schiano type reaction if you hire Eli Drinkwitz. You will not have support. You will not have boosters on board. For that very reason alone, I think it's going to be tough to have him fit in.
Preston, nobody on the board is in the Kiffin rarefied air when it comes to excitement. mean, Josh Heupel,
of course not.
Brom, no way.
But Mike, there's a neutral level of excitement. These fans
who's your number 2?
hate Eli Drinkwitz. They hate him. I'm telling you, I've seen so many comments just saying, please, anybody but Drinkwitz. The fan support will be lower for Drinkwitz than just about any other name on the board. I'm just telling you.
I'm just telling you, even your second place guy,
it's a drop off a cliff. I get it. But there's another cliff of like literally anybody and then Eli Drinkwitz. I'm just telling you, it's the opposite end of the spectrum.
I'm going to put it to you like this. I said this to thank you for that super chat, Dan.
We got 4 super chats lined up. I'm about to put them up there as soon as we finish arguing about this.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing about Drinkwitz anymore. You know who I compare Lane Kiffin to as far as what he's going to bring to the
Steve Spurrier?
He is the equivalent of Kim Mulkey.
Oh God. Kim Mulkey?
Dude, as far as in his sport, as far as the draw and the eyeballs and that,
I get it. Kim Mulkey was a proven championship coach. That's crazy. Look,
no,
he's definitely going to be exciting and fun to watch.
I'm talking about the exciting.
No, I get it. I'm just, yeah. He will definitely get eyeballs, excitement, and hype. No doubt. He will be fun. He might not win at the level you need to for LSU. I don't know, but he will be fun to watch. It will be entertainment. You will not have a soulless, lifeless Tiger Stadium where it's just like the fun and love of the sport is being sucked out of your program like it was under BK.
I want you to seriously think about LSU's roster of coaches when Lane is official. I'm gonna say if Lane is official, Lane Kiffin, Jay Johnson, Kim Mulkey,
Matt
on
McMahon.
and on. Now, why'd you go and do
that? By the way, I'm not going to throw anything out there, but I have heard whispers of a possible exciting replacement for him if he does not make the tournament this year. But we're going to give him a chance to do what they're going to do this year. They do look good early on. Okay, the other point I was going to point out about Eli Drinkwitz is he is 6-16 against top 25 teams. There's a big train of thought that a coach, even if at a smaller school, which Missouri is not that small of a school. It is an SEC team we're talking about. You should have that giant killer build to you. Okay. And a lot of people hate him because of that. Anyways, we'll move on from Eli Drinkwitz before everybody leaves the show. And we got a super chat here. What's the reluctance with throwing the ball over the middle? I'd say a big part of that is not having Aaron Anderson. He's a big guy who can catch those tough contested balls over the middle. Any thoughts on that, Mike?
It's just one more thing to add of everything that's wrong with the offense.
Rock and Rant with the $2 super chat. As a non-LSU fan, you guys do, and you've done an excellent job with coverage. I appreciate that. I'm going to tell you this, guys. I have busted my ass getting stuff for the last couple weeks. So I appreciate that comment. Not just with the coaching search and covering the team, but dealing with my personal life the last couple weeks. It's been a lot with a pregnant wife to make all that happen and, being a father already. But yes, appreciate that comment. Oh, Mike, we got more super chats. Hold up. No, sir. Blake nor Frank ain't it. That's from Gary Williams. I'm not sure I disagree with you. I'm certainly Frank Wilson hasn't had a winning record as a head coach, and we're not exactly seeing revolutionary coaching right now.
Nobody's talking about Frank for head coach here. We can have debates, and if it makes sense to Lane Kiffin to keep him in some capacity, we can have that debate. But nobody's talking about Frank Wilson for head coach.
I will throw this out there.
Although there were some people who just loved his opening press conference and said, just give him the job. I don't know.
There were some people saying that.
I don't know what the demographics of those usernames were on our Facebook and our YouTube pages, but
you saying they're out of state or something like that.
I'm not diving into it either.
I will point out this. Did you know that And Lane Kiffin's 1 year in Tennessee, Frank Wilson was on his staff. I'm just going to throw that out there. You know who else was on his staff at Tennessee, Mike?
He was a wide receivers coach, wasn't he?
He was the wide receivers coach. Ed Ogeron was also on that staff. Kenny Haines with $5 super chat.
Frank cannot coach wide receivers.
If we don't get Kiffin, it's going to be a nuclear disaster next Sunday because LSU will be screwed. I think the meltdown will be absolutely nuclear. In fact, we might have to do an emergency show for not hiring Lane Kiffin. You know, it'll be a Bryce Underwood, if not larger, meltdown. And by the way, no matter where he picks, there's going to be 2 fan bases in the SEC where it is an absolute nuclear meltdown. Mike, I thought you wanted Jack Del Rio.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Let you handle that.
Yeah, back how many years ago and how many cycles was that? 20 years ago, Jack Del Rio rumors
for the Kiffin. Oh no, that would have been the Les Miles.
Yeah, and maybe one stretch in there. What was it? After 2008. And then John Chavis came in and saved Les Miles Bacon. With Mingo and Sam Montgomery and them. Miles was on the ropes at that point. The Mallory Pivotal defense.
That was a rough year, man. And you know, it's hilarious. You know, we talk about how brutal that defense was. You know, that defense ranked like 31st in the country. Like that was the abysmal defense. But you got to understand, for years, it was like defenses ranked 10th, 11th, 1st, you know, 17th. And then you get that and it's like, oh my God, this defense is so abysmal.
The grade on the players out of the transfer portal was certainly Mansour Delane and Halsey and Braylon Moore. Those are big hits. I think Pyburns had a very good season.
Patrick Payton.
Yeah, I mean, you got some home runs in there. You got some doubles. Is there some that you would have liked to have gotten more out of?
Josh Thompson, sure.
You know, do I think, you know, I don't know how you would grade Barry and Brown and Nick Anderson, but I mean, I know what Aaron Anderson can do, and look at his numbers on the season. Everybody on the offense is looking. It looks terrible.
Here's a good comment here. Terrell Guidry, please give me one accomplishment of Lane Kiffin as a head coach. And that's a good question. Terrell, I will say this. Lane Kiffin has just generated his 4th 10-win season in Oxford at Ole Miss at a program. I believe they had never had a 10-win regular season in program history. I'm not sure about bowl history, but you know, to take a program that's never had 10 wins and do that, that's legitimately impressive. Now, people in Oxford will sit there and tell you that, well, it's because their NIL efforts have gotten so much better, and you know, he wasted a $20 million roster last year, but they're also saying that while also offering him a contract to be the richest coach in college football. So I don't know.
You know what, Jared Guillory brings up a point that, and I saw some other posts earlier. Look, as aggravating as I got, and a lot of us got, it's some of the Les Miles teams. And there's one thing you can never say about his teams is that they weren't physical.
Yep.
All right. And,
you might score.
My issue with Les was
his offense was like watching.
I think he went too many. I think he went too many years too long, and then what that last couple of years when he famously said the offense was going to be different and it wasn't. And 4 games later, he got fired. Wouldn't fire Cam Cameron. Yeah.
Yep. Too loyal. I got a comment here, Mike. Can we throw it up, or you got something?
No, go ahead.
Is Florida still in the mix for Kiffin, or are they hurt? I would say they're in the mix. They are falling behind. They're like a distant third right now from everything I'm hearing. But even Florida is making moves to kind of distance themselves from Kiffin, like assuming he's not coming. The way it was phrased to me from talking to people in the know, the Florida has left the door ajar, and Kiffin's going to have to rip that door open and walk through it. You know, it's like they're kind of like, all right, dude, we're going to leave the door cracked.
Go ahead and get some more, Preston.
No problem. Let's see here. Dane Bergeron says Miles' teams were always tough. Yeah, for the most part. Yep. They would sometimes go out to Arkansas and score 0 points. If Kiffin doesn't sign the LSU contract on Sunday, we're moving on. I mean, for sure, you have to move on. Tell Preston that Ole Miss won a national championship in 1960 and has won 10 games before.
They're going for 11. The 11 games this year would be the new.
But a 10-win regular season. I know for a fact that when Kiffin did that the other day, or 4 years ago, whatever it was, that was the first time 10 wins in the regular season. Ole Miss is not a program with a storied history, guys. It just isn't. But you can say they are organized with an NIL fund and well-funded and all that jazz.
And you also can say that when you look at the way their schedule played out this season, they really had a really great schedule that benefited them.
Let's see here. Is this offense worse than the 2023 defense, respectively? Mike,
well, that's a good question.
It is a very good question. That's definitely the worst defense I've seen in school history, either that or 2020. But I try not to count 2020 because that was just such a weird year with COVID and everybody was playing defense poorly that year. But certainly in a regular year, that was the worst defense. And Mike, is this the worst offense you've ever seen at LSU? I don't necessarily remember the Curly Hallman.
I mean, look, you can probably go pull up numbers and play that game, but as far as I'm not going to go by numbers. I'm going to go by eyeballs and what my gut tells me and how painful it is to watch. This has been, I mean, this really harkens back to me to the early 90s. That's how bad it's been to me.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The truth is, we're probably going to say the defense just because that defense cost you a championship. And I don't think that LSU's defense this year is good enough to carry you to a championship like LSU's offense was in 2023. So people are going to throw that defense under the bus more. This offense might be worse than the 2023 defense. I think if we're the fact that you haven't scored 25 points or more than 25 points in an FBS game, I mean, that is just remarkable. I mean, at least that 2023 defense shut out Army, you know? It's putrid. It's putrid that within 3 years we saw the worst offense and worst defense of many young fans' lifetime, if not many old fans' lifetime.
Well, and that's why you're about to spend another close to $100 million on another coach.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll say this about Lane Kiffin as well. Say what you want about him as a head coach and his antics. He'll never field an offense like this, ever. You will never see a putrid offense. That side of the ball will be good to go his entire tenure. Let's see here. So is it true that Kiffin does sign with LSU that his salary will be only $3 million a year and the rest is by private donors? I mean,
we're gonna have to wait and see how that gets released in a FOIA request, how they word that. Do they word it a different way just so Governor Landry's happy? I don't know.
The word is Governor Landry has given his blessing.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, I've also heard rumblings that those two have spoken with one another. I know there were some reports conflicting that. I'm just telling you, behind the scenes people I've talked to, that conversation did happen. By the way, Lane Kiffin followed the governor on Twitter this week. So just saying. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's where he gets. That's where he gets himself in trouble.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, we are hearing that some of the social media antics are kind of getting him in trouble here. Ole Miss is pissed, guys. These guys are pissed at him for letting all this go on and leaving everybody hanging in the dark and then continuing to play games on social media and, all that going on. And they're getting ready for what they call the biggest game in program history, right? So by the way, we want to talk about accomplishments of Kiffin. Let's talk about it. He's got them in position to play the, quote, biggest game in program history. Their words, not mine. This offense definitely worse than the 23 defense. Yeah, I'm sure it'd be a weird thing to study analytically, maybe looking at where they rank. I mean, but I know that defense ranked in the hundreds. This offense probably ranks a little better, but boy, this offense is just very putrid and tough to watch. Let's see here. Eric DeLion. I'm 53 years old. I can remember in the early 80s with Gary James and Dalton Hillard. I think this is the worst offense that I remember. Boy, my dad talks about that offense a bunch, I'll tell you that much. They were all excited for Gary James coming in. Basically, Gary James was the equivalent of what would be a 5-star running back today. And then they started talking about Dalton Hillard in fall camp, and they're like, who the heck is this little kid? But Dalton Hillard was better.
That's true. And Gary James was an excellent running back with a long career with the Lions. What was he, a second-round draft pick by the Detroit Lions?
What a combo. That's like having Leonard Fournette and Darius Geis on your team at the same time. Kiffin has averaged 36 points per game since being at Ole Miss. It's a good point from Tigers there. Let's see here. With Kiffin, we'll have another Heisman quarterback within 3 years. Here's a good question. Does Kiffin bring Pete Golding with him? Of course, Pete Golding is a championship-winning coordinator. Now, he wasn't an elite defense for that 2020 defense for Alabama, but he did win a championship as a coordinator. He's there in Ole Miss currently. He's from Hammond. And then you have to worry about Blake Baker. I will say this. If Blake Baker leaves for another job, that becomes very likely all of a sudden. In fact, I would argue behind Blake Baker, wouldn't you say Pete Golding is your second most likely option if Kiffin comes?
Man, I tend to think he's the first option.
You think he's more likely than Blake Baker?
I mean, I don't know what he does. What's the loyalty factor?
To Kiffin or Ole Miss?
To Kiffin.
I don't know. Be interesting to see. I will say those two names are going to probably be, if I was going to take bets right now, those two are going to be option A and option B for most likely to be your coordinators next year.
Yeah, I don't know what those conversations are like, but
yeah,
I would think his current staffers would have first right over current LSU staffers.
The thrill 12. If Kiffin comes, what about Coach O being DC court? First off,
D-line coach.
Yeah, Ogeron will never be a DC. He knows nothing about X's and O's. He has no interest in it. That was his downfall at LSU. Coach O would come as D-line coach, I believe. And by the way, I've talked to multiple sources who have spoken with Coach O. Yes, he said it on the national interview, so I'm not exactly breaking news with riveting reporting here, but I've talked to people who talked to him directly, and this isn't just PR speak from him. Like, it's very legitimate. Like, yes, he would be thrilled to come back to LSU and coach D-line. This isn't like other opportunities in the past where, you know, he burned that bridge and walked out. Certainly he probably MF'd a few people on the way out the door, but how many of those people are now gone? The fact that Scott Woodward is no longer employed by LSU makes that a lot easier to do, because there's a lot of people who feel that Scott Woodward sabotaged Coach O with giving him, you know, such a paltry budget to replace basically both the coordinators in 2021. He said, here's $1 million, no guarantees, go have fun. And then he had to bring in 2 rookie coordinators.
All right, guys, when you're looking for your next vehicle, make sure you support a local dealership that supports the Tigers. Matt Bowers, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram on Airline Highway near Behringer Foreman in Baton Rouge has an awesome NIL deal with LSU tight end Trey Green. You simply cannot beat their quality service, and they include their lifetime powertrain warranty on all new vehicles. Shop them online today at mattbowerscdjr.com.
What's up, Tiger Nation? It's Trey Green. Go see my friend Matt Bowers when you need your next ride.
Get Matt's lifetime powertrain warranty included with every new vehicle purchase.
Shop smart. Buy local. Matt Bowers, CDJR, Baton Rouge.
There you go. And please tell them that TigerBait sent you in. Go test drive one of them great Rams or Jeep vehicles right there on Airline Highway. And I need to talk. Here it is. Dykes, the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. No matter how big or small your electrical needs might be, Dykes is wired for success. If you need a brand new 10-story office building, they can wire that. A 200,000 square foot warehouse that you need built, they can wire that. Expanding your existing commercial building, changing out a breaker, upgrading old lighting in your home or office, they can do all of it. That's why you need to give them a call today at the number you see on your screen, 225-216-9180 for a free estimate on your project. And another one that please patronize Dykes Electrical and let them know that TigerBait sent you in. It really helps us to let our sponsors know where you heard about them. And Stroubes, there it is on your screen, that cowboy ribeye, the great seafood dishes that are on that menu, downtown Baton Rouge, 107 3rd Street. And they pride themselves on a 5-star dining experience. Locally owned with ownership right there in the building. They got the USDA Prime Black Angus, 100% certified Wagyu New York strip. And man, I had the filet the other night, 2 Fridays ago. The wife had the steak Diane. That's what I'm getting the next time I'm going. The steak Diane was to die for. So book your reservation online tonight at Stroubes.com. And again, tell the hostess or your waiter or waitress that TigerBait sent you in, and get those lamb lollipops for an appetizer, and the crawfish mac and cheese is one of your sides. You won't be disappointed. All right. Super chat from LSU Born. Thank you for that. Wow. That's saying a lot, Dane. You're muted, Preston. There you are.
Mike, the coach contract is fixed by law. Max salary from LSU is $400K. The rest is NIL. Well, I'm sure it's not NIL. It's TAF funded, I'm sure. But yeah. Yeah, if you look up like the salary database, it's always funny. The head coach makes like $300K, and then the rest is privately donor funded. Thank you for that.
I'm gonna be real curious to see if he's got his TJ Ribbs coaches show in there, because he doesn't do a radio show at Ole Miss, and I wonder if that's by choice. Is that something that he doesn't want to do because he wants that night off?
I believe it is. I don't think he likes doing it.
Huh?
I don't think he likes to do it. Now, I don't know if that's going to fly at LSU or not, but I think it's because Lane Kiffin doesn't like doing a coach's show.
Well, maybe send an assistant coach to do it. I don't know.
Hey, let Coach O do it if you bring him in, huh? That'll be fun.
Yeah, I was saying that earlier. He also got the luck of a pretty reasonable SEC schedule this year. Yeah. Look, depending on where you're at, if you're at South Carolina or Missouri or Vanderbilt, you're not scheduling week 1 in Columbus, Ohio. You're scheduling Bowling Green. I get it. Yeah, I don't want anything to do with James Franklin. Thank God he took the Virginia Tech job.
Yeah, but say he's off the table too.
Yeah, that's Kirk Ferentz and Mark Richt all over again.
Could you imagine firing Brian Kelly and then paying $54 million for him to not coach just to hire someone who's basically a Brian Kelly clone, or maybe a more likable Brian Kelly clone? I mean, my God.
Y'all do me a favor. If y'all enjoying the show, please hit that like button. And just so you know, Frank Wilson's post-game press conference is up on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. Brian Lazar's game story is up. He is doing both that and his instant analysis piece that will be up shortly. And so all that is up on the front page at TigerBait.com. And by the way, we've set a record for new subscriptions in the last week and a half. Our premium message board is flying, and you need to go subscribe to TigerBait. $1. It's going to be absolutely worth it. Treat yourself for a Christmas gift. We've got a lot coming your way as far this coming week, as far as how the week ends and where once the coach is in place and how the staffing and all that's going to work. We're plugged into all that, and we're going to bring all that to you. And our message board is, we're dropping tidbits on there day and night on all this stuff.
Coach O knows a fishing spot, I hear. Of course, that's in reference to him doing the radio show.
Torque Lewitt, unfortunately,
funny.
if Kiffin is coming, it means Austin Thomas is gone. Those two do not get – look, Austin Thomas left. Kiffin was not happy. I've even heard the word hate thrown around a little bit. I think that's a shame. I don't know how anybody could dislike Austin Thomas that much. I think Austin deserves to have a sit down with Lane Kiffin and then work it out, maybe with Verge in the room. I can tell you this, that big pot of money that's sitting there waiting for the next coach to use in the portal, a big chunk of it, if not 2/3 plus, raised by Austin Thomas. That's why you want to sit down and talk to him. Don't cut your nose off to spite your face. There's a reason why, if he becomes the LSU coach, there's a reason why he left Ole Miss to come to LSU as well. That's what Austin did. You're doing the same thing, right?
Right. By the way, I haven't heard that same buzz about Kevin Bolton, who's, of course, the assistant GM of LSU. Kenny Haines with another super chat. NIL is for coach is his NIL. LSU gets a license for non-exclusive NIL of a coach. Read the contracts. Man, you know what I would do to get to read the contracts? I would get the unofficial official attorney of TigerBait.com to read those contracts for me. That's what I would do. Kenny Haines. Of course, Kenny Haines actually has a column he wrote for us the other day about the Brian Kelly contract situation. Good stuff there from him. Who would be the GM if he came to LSU? Well, I'm not so certain that Austin Thomas would get completely ran off. I don't necessarily know that, but let's see who's the guy at Ole Miss. I'm sure if he had to do
Billy Glasscock.
Yeah, Billy Glasscock. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. That would probably be a name to watch if it is indeed so visceral with one another that they cannot put it together.
All right, Jeff Collins. Let me guess. Where do you reside? Somewhere south of Memphis, between there and Oxford.
Well, why would him being an elitist make him want to stay at Ole Miss? I don't understand that. Like LSU is, by all measures, the more elite program. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I mean, maybe he's a Florida fan, saying Florida somehow a better job. I don't know.
Look, man, I'm not gonna fault the non-conference scheduling. If that's what the SEC gave them and it worked out for them, fine. They did what they were supposed to do, and I'm old enough to have seen Ole Miss be what they've been for decades. And what Lane Kiffin has done there is why he's in the position he's in right now. Bottom line. I'm telling you right now, let's say he went another 3 or 4 years at Ole Miss and never made it to Atlanta and maybe went to the playoff games 3 out of the next 4 years and maybe was one and done or maybe won a game in the playoffs and lost the next one. He's a shoo-in to have a statue outside the stadium and more.
I mean, look, it's not like Ole Miss doesn't want to retain him, Mike. No one in Oxford is talking about, man, we got to get rid of this guy Kiffin. If he can't sign this extension or we're screwed.
Yep. Tiger Mike, if Kiffin gets a job, does that immediate success? I don't like LSU's schedule next year. I don't like how much they've got to build. But does that mean it's not going to be exciting? Does that mean that they might not win a game? They could win a game. That they can win a game they're not supposed to? I think everything's on the table.
Mike,
and he comes here. Who comes with him? What kids want to come? I give him more of a positive outlook for what next season can be like than I can other teams, particularly if they're going to be, the same people that went and found Chambliss in the portal.
Right.
There's a reason to be a lot more optimistic. I'll say that.
Mike, do you think $25 million even is enough to buy? Like, you basically have to buy an entire football team next year.
Well, that's my point. If you're not going to go out and spend a super crazy amount on a transfer portal quarterback that every major school in Power 5 that needs a quarterback is willing to shell out big bucks for, and you stumble upon another Chambliss for $300,000 or $400,000. I'm not saying that's going to be out there, but boy, you sure have got to give them a lot of credit for what that's done for them. That's why this situation is what it is right now for Lane Kiffin. This should have been an easier move for him to leave Ole Miss for LSU.
Yeah,
they were supposed to go 8-4 this year.
By the way, one of the big reasons Brian Kelly got fired is because this was a team built to win this season. If not now, then when? Like, this was it. This was the big push for NIL funds. This was the fifth-year senior quarterback. This team was built to win.
I can tell you who leaked the contract or the details of it. That's almost always the agent. When they drop it in the national guys' laps, whether it's you name them, Thamel, Dellinger, 40, whoever you want to throw out there, Chris Lowe, that's almost 90% of the time an agent that did that. That would be. Now look, Ross Dellinger still has great contacts in Baton Rouge because of being on the beat here at the Advocate for all those years. But I don't know why anybody that would be in the know of those numbers at LSU would see the benefit of letting that get out. I can question why an agent would want that getting out, but
right,
it is what it is.
Were you surprised at the contracts that got leaked? Now, first it was $90 million, but now $98 million came out for 7 years. Any surprise in that number for you?
No. I mean, that's the market.
$14 million. So the $90 million caught me off guard because that was going to be like 12.8, and I was like, that seems a little low.
I really want to know what the numbers are though for what was the enrollment, pre-Kiffin at Ole Miss, what it is now, what they're expecting for next year's freshman class. I mean, that university has been growing by leaps and bounds. So every dollar that they spent on him, over $10 million to them, has been worth it. And I think it would have that same effect here as well. He's just one of those guys. He's got that mojo and that presence.
Thanks for the $2 super chat there, LSU Born. If you have a comment, put one down. We'll try to put it up there.
Now look, there's it's not all roses. I mean, he's a piece of work.
BK had those receipts though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully he bought tickets to the national championship because that's the only way he's going to see it. Let's see here. Fred Wright says only Kirby Smart is worth that money. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's just kind of what the market dictates. Is Lane Kiffin's the number one option on the market, and if you want him, you're going to have to make him the highest paid coach in football. That's just how that works. I don't know what to tell you. I will say this: deals like this do jack up the market for everybody, because what's going to happen is Kiffin's going to get this 14 or whatever, and then Kirby Smart's is going to go to his agent and be like, "What the hell? This guy doesn't have any championships."
No, but because nobody's going after Kirby because they view him as untouchable.
Right.
When Kirby wins another national championship, then he can demand, he could probably demand it now.
I'm about to say he could demand it right now. I don't know what you think he's waiting around for. He can be just like, hey man, that guy is going to make more money than me. I have 2 championships and I'm still relevant, by the way.
He might have that clause in his contract. I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Let's see here. So, from all reports are that it's a 7-year deal, which, by the way, I'm very happy to see that aspect of it. I think these 10-year contracts that are so guaranteed are just asinine, especially when you're offering them to 60-year-old men. I mean, nothing against our elderly people here, but when you're 60 years old, when I am 60 years old, what's in my what I'm looking ahead to? Retirement. Yes, let's sign the one contract where all I have to do is sign the dotted line and just show up to work and I'll have generational wealth. That's a trap.
60 is the new 50, my friend. Pipe down.
Well, I mean,
all right, there you go, everybody. Alumni Hall. Get over there for all your Christmas needs. They've got everything you want. Although I keep saying that the cold weather is going to be here and stick a while, but another day for golf shirts today. So that's why I'm putting the golf shirt one up. They've got all the greatest stuff that you want over there. The Peter Millar, the Johnny O, all the new Nike gear. The store is loaded. Do your Christmas shopping with them. Use the code TigerBait, all one word. You'll get 10% in store in Perkins Row or online at alumnihall.com/LSU. Orders over $99, you're going to get free shipping. You got the Hall Pass rewards for every $150 you spend. You'll get $10 reward for future purchases. And they got 3 or 4 huge tables of the 2 for $38 LSU champion T-shirts up front. You can mix and match men's, women's, and youth sizes to get that deal. You just can't beat it. And do business with the great people over at Alumni Hall. And always use that code. It's for all of you. TigerBait, all one word. And you will always get 10% every time you buy something at Alumni Hall. That code has been in effect for several years now, and it's going to keep on rolling, and you need to use it. And our newest oyster spot in town, Baye's downtown. Get over there. Great oysters. And, of course, it's the old Jolie Pearl. You know where it's at on North Boulevard. 315 North Boulevard to be exact. They got the freshest farm-raised oysters from Grand Isle. No mud, no grit, just clean, delicious flavor. And they got the bull shrimp. They got the great turkey, brie, and bacon sandwich, a classic roast beef po' boy, stock bar with top-notch bourbon whiskey, massive craft beer selection. That is LSU's best new oyster spot. Give them a try and tell them TigerBait sent you in. All right, let's get some more in here. Hit that like button if you're enjoying the show. Yeah, there you go. Should we start buying LSU visors from Alumni Hall? There you go. They've got them every color.
Any chance he keeps Baker? I mean, yeah.
He's going to have some great options, ain't he?
Let's see here. I'm sure Saban had that talk with Lane. Yeah, I've heard they have talked, and I know LSU admin has talked to Saban. I think Saban probably has encouraged. I think that's a good thing for LSU that they've talked. I'll put it like that.
And one thing that we know from our reporting, which is absolutely believable, that Jimmy Sexton is a big force about pushing for LSU.
That's right. TigerBait subscribers knew about that already, by the way. What players does he bring? I think that's a lot to.
You don't want to go down that road right now.
That's a lot. First off, we're getting into roster. What is it? Roster tampering at a certain point. But boy, I wouldn't mind watching Kewan Lacey run.
We don't know any names, anyways.
Yeah, of course. No. Hopefully, one of those quarterbacks, because they need a quarterback real bad.
I mean, it's not like 20 of them are coming. I mean,
yeah. Well, Trinidad and Chambliss, I think, is out. I'm pretty sure isn't he like a super senior, so he wouldn't come, of course. Let's see. Is it a fact that the top winning coaches were not head coaches before they're? I mean, right now all the hot coaches are. I mean, if Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, Ryan Day. I mean, Marcus Freeman. I mean, you can go down the list, and even if they weren't, even if they had another head coaching job before that, they were also pretty recently pretty good coordinators. I think there's a trend right now. The tactician is dominating college football. So if you ask me who my second pick would be behind Kiffin, I've been saying Glenn Schumann, Kelvin Shepard, Will Stein at Oregon, guys like that. I've been beating on my chest for.
I'm with you.
Mike, has LSU ever hired like a offensive wizard to be head coach here? I don't remember. I mean,
Jerry Gennaro ran the option when he was at Colorado.
I mean, I don't know, man. I think it's been a long time. I don't know for certain.
I think Bo Ryan would have been right had he not.
Bo Ryan was a defensive guy, wasn't he?
Was he?
Let me look that up real quick. I'm sorry. I have trouble remembering things that happened way before I was born. Let me see. Now, Bo Ryan, everybody was convinced was going to win a ton. Let's see here. Yeah, no, he was OC at Arkansas for 1 year. I don't know. Okay. So he was the head coach at NC State before that. And then I don't know that he's necessarily a wizard having 1 year.
But he was going to run a version of the Veer.
The fact that you're going back that long to 1980 to find a guy.
Yeah, it is Bo Ryan.
Yeah. Although,
you gotta go.
Who was the guy who replaced Bo Ryan? Jerry Stovall. Jerry Stovall was an offensive mind for sure. He was, played running back, and but I don't know that any of them are necessarily wizards like a Lane Kiffin is.
Anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, I guess. There's been a lot of scuttlebutt, and we'll talk about the negatives and positives.
I like it. You're using my word scuttlebutt.
The negative scuttlebutt.
Corey was making fun of me for using that old timey term.
Yeah,
and it's like I like the word scuttlebutt over scoop. Man.
Us young whippersnappers.
Yeah,
we like to use words over yonder like that. Anyways, we're going to talk a lot about the pauses with him because it is one of those things where there's just so much hype. It's like, well, if we're going to be objectively analyzing it, we got to take this position of hype and we got to say, well, look, here's the concerns. But I just want to throw out there, Lane Kiffin is an offensive mastermind. And one of the things you talk about when hiring a coach is, does he strike fear into your opponent's eyes? And I do think he fits the bill of that, because I just want you to sit here and imagine a Lane Kiffin offense with Jamar Chase, with Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, all these offensive guys that grow on trees around here. I don't think you're going to look up anymore and just be like, man, there's a lot of talent on this team, and it is just absolutely wasted because this scheme is so vanilla or whatever. I think that those days would effectively be over, because he'll always have a system and scheme to get, put these offensive guys. It's going to be dangerous stopping Louisiana receivers and running backs and talent with Lane Kiffin in command. So that is what I would say is the big overarching promise of Lane Kiffin.
All right, everybody. Y'all keep Preston and his wife Alyssa in your thoughts, in a perfectly easy birthing of their second child, and we've got a lot for you on TigerBait. I'm assuming you'll be very doubtful and questionable for Monday night's LSU football fix show.
Very doubtful. Yeah, we'll have to. I don't know. We'll either get you to do it, or I'll move it back a little bit. One or the other.
We'll figure it out. But we're probably going to do some more shows next week. Of course, Buddy and I on Wednesday. Well, actually, no, because of Thanksgiving. We might move that up a day to Tuesday night. Pay attention. We'll let you know. We've typically been skipping the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving shows. We'll probably try and get that in Tuesday night. But
Mike, what we haven't talked about is okay. So if LSU hires a new coach, we're going to go live basically as soon as that happens. So keep the bell on. What happens when they announce if Kiffin accepts the job on Saturday, like during LSU's game? Oh man, what a mess! That'll be fun to keep.
Well, if it goes the way we think that
Saturday.
game's going to be going, it'll be a welcome.
Yeah, I don't see LSU keeping it close. I don't know what the spread is, but take Oklahoma. If it's minus whatever, take Oklahoma, man.
Yeah. All right, everybody, hit that like button if you enjoyed the show. Please go subscribe to TigerBait. We're on the message board day and night. We're dropping tidbits as we're getting it, and I think our reporting on this coaching search has been second to none, and that's why you need to subscribe for $1. And if you did subscribe, make sure you signed up for those text alerts. A lot of the new subscribers have not signed up for the text alerts yet, but you're going to get the breaking news sent to your phone immediately. And of course, we're sending out newsletters and everything else along with that. But all right, everybody, y'all enjoy the rest of the weekend, and it's going to be a fun week to say the least. And be right here on TigerBait on our YouTube channel, and of course TigerBait.com, as well as our Facebook page. And all right, everybody, good night.